In this video, I'm going to show you the best way to increase your website conversion rate, and that is by using Google Analytics. You see, when most people have a website that isn't converting, what they do is they watch videos on website or landing page best practices, and they start making all these random changes to their website trying to increase the conversion rate. The reason that's a massive mistake is because if you don't know what the actual problem is with your website, meaning why it's not converting, then any changes you make are just guesses. You're basically throwing darts at the dartboard while blindfolded, just hoping that you hit the right change. And so in this video, I'm going to show you the process you can use to identify what is the unique issue with your site. And by following this process, I was able to increase the conversion rate of my website from 1% to 10% in just a few days. And so I'm going to show you exactly how I did that. I'm going to do a screen share and show you exactly what to do, not just showing you what I did for my site, but showing you how to identify exactly what to change and how for your site too. And so that's what I'm going to show in this video. I'm going to jump on my computer and show you how. Okay, so here we are inside Google Analytics on the dashboard. And at the top here, we have the different overview metrics. So we've got users, we've got views, and then we have the conversion rate of the site, which is called user key event rate. Now, if you don't see this, all you need to do is click the drop down, come down to user, and go user key event rate. This used to be called conversion rate. And so if you haven't updated your Google Analytics, it may be conversion rate if you can't find it, but it means the same thing. So last week I launched a new website and started running ads to it. And as you can see, the conversion rate was very low. It's 0.7, 1, 1%, 0.5%. And so using the process I'm about to go through with you, I was able to increase it here to 7%, then up to 13%. So about a 10 times increase on the conversion rate. So the way to do this is it's not always one thing. It's not like you need to use this headline or you need this image or anything like that. It's learning the skill of identifying what the issue is for your unique site. And so that's what I'm going to go through. So to do that, there's a few things we can look at. First of all, if you come over here to reports, and then you come down into engagement and landing page. The first thing we want to check is the site conversion low globally, meaning is every single page not converting, or are there specific pages that are converting better than others? Because if we can identify that, then maybe there's some pages that are looking better or more optimized than others. And so if we come to landing pages, we can see the different pages that people reach, basically wherever they come from, whether it be an ad or a Google search or a social media post. Where do they land? And so you can see for this site, we have quite a few different pages, and these are relating to different products that we have. And so if I move this over here, we can see that this page here is converting at 4.8%, so 5%. Now, a good benchmark for an e-commerce store is really anything above 3 or 4%. So what we can see is this page is converting well. This page is at 3%, this page is at 2.7, 2.3, and the others are at 0. So what that tells me is if we're looking at all these different pages, it's not that the site is converting poorly, it's that some pages are converting poorly and some pages are converting all right. And so what we could then do is look at those different pages and see, what does one page have that another doesn't, or what's one page saying that another isn't. And we could start to piece together some understanding as to what the issue is. But before we do that, we can check a few other things first. And so one thing I always like to check is the difference between desktop and mobile. And so to do that, over here, there's this plus button. We can click it, and we go to platform/device and device category. And so once this loads, what we can see is we have the pages, but we also have the split between desktop and mobile. And so what we can see here, for example, is this page on desktop is converting at 9%. And this same page on mobile is converting at 0%. So again, what that tells me is that there's something about the desktop experience on this page that's better than the mobile experience. Because on desktop, it's actually converting very well, 9%. And so here we can see the same thing. Number 10 here on desktop, it's converting at 9%. And this same page on mobile is converting at 0%. And here, this page on desktop is 12.5%, and this same page on mobile is 0%. So now what I can see for this site specifically, the desktop experience is actually converting very well. We have a 9%, we have a 9%, we have a 12%. They're great numbers. But those same pages on mobile are converting much worse. And so with that in mind, what I could do now is look at those pages, look at them on desktop and mobile, and see what the problem is. Now, because I've already done this, the problem was on mobile, the checkout button wasn't working. And so it was actually impossible for people to check out. But by using Google Analytics, you can identify where to look. Because otherwise you're just going and changing random things and there's no method to what you're doing. But here, by following the steps so far, you could see, okay, well, it's converting better here on desktop than it is on mobile. So let's look at the mobile experience. Let's try to identify why. Now, what do you do if you don't have conversions? Maybe it's a brand new site and you're looking at this and just everything's 0. Well, if that's the case, the best thing to look at is the average engagement time per session. And this basically means how long do people stay on each page. Now, this isn't a perfect indicator of whether or not it's going to convert, but it's a good starting point. If people are getting to a page and they're spending 1 second there, then it's never going to convert. And so what we can do is we'll get rid of the device split first, and then we can rank this by average time on page. And so what we can see here is there are some pages that have a very high engagement rate. So this one's 7 minutes, this one's 5 minutes, this one's 4 minutes, this one's 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute. But then as we scroll down, we can see some of these pages, the average engagement time is, like here it's 2 seconds. And this has had 24 users on it. So I have 24 people, the average engagement time is 2 seconds. So that tells me that there's something wrong with this page. Maybe it's not loading, or maybe it's loading too slowly, or maybe there's something wrong with the top section of the page. For times like this, a few seconds, then the immediate experience, something's got to be off there. So we can look at that as a proxy for conversions if we don't have them yet. And again, what we would do is look at this page here with a 2 second average engagement time, and then compare that to maybe this page here with a 1 minute average engagement time. And we could just pull up the pages and look at them side by side and say, okay, well, what's the difference? What's this page doing that this page isn't? And then again, we can check that across devices. So if we go platform, device category, it will break down desktop and mobile. And so here we can see 1, 2, 3, 4. The first 4 are desktop. So again, this is giving us some indication, okay, the desktop experience is probably better than the mobile experience. In fact, in the top 15 pages, there's only 3 that are on mobile. So again, desktop is obviously doing much better. Now, one thing to keep in mind is as you're looking at this, you do want to be mindful of the users. And so here you can see this page, it's had 1 user. And so although it's got an 8-minute average engagement time, I wouldn't weigh that very heavily because it's just 1 person. And so a page, for example, this one's got 44 users and 51 seconds. That's a much truer representation of the engagement on that page because it's not just 1 or 2 people, it's over 40. And so you just want to be aware of that and mindful of that as you're going through this. And so if your site looks like this, where you've got a big skew between one device or another, then I would suggest starting looking at what's the difference between those 2 experiences. What's it look like on desktop? What's it look like on mobile? If you don't have that and it's more page by page, then I would suggest looking at the page. So you could take one of the pages that's doing the best, whether that be based on conversion rate or based on the average engagement time, and then compare that to one of the pages that's doing the worst. And just get them side by side and say, okay, what's this page doing that this one isn't, and how can we make the page that's doing better, how can we take that and apply it to the page that's not doing as well? And then you can day by day make these changes and track the results and see, is the engagement time increasing, is the conversion rate increasing? And you can accurately assess if what you're doing is actually making a difference. And this is the key to improving website conversion. It's not just making random changes, it's looking at the data, creating a hypothesis or a guess as to what might be better or worse based on the different results you're getting, and then make the change and see if it made it better or worse. And then once you see that, if it made it better, you can do more of that, add that to more pages. Or if it made it worse, you can make a note of it and then try something else. And if you do this every day, it doesn't need to take long. It could be 15 or 30 minutes a day. If you do that each day for 3 to 5 days, you can very quickly increase your conversion rate. It's not by making massive changes or trying to completely change the layout of your website or doing all these crazy things like countdown timers or the social proof pop-ups. Don't worry about that. Just look at the data, make small changes, see if it's making it better. If it is, do more of it. If it's not, try something else and measure it. And you can very quickly take your conversion rate from 1% or 0% to 2%, 4%, 8%, even 12%, as I showed you. And so this is the process of using Google Analytics to increase your website conversion.